Hello and welcome back to the port. I'm the Gap Major, and this is a review of the Pan-Asian Tech Tree Tier 5 destroyer, the Fushun, which is now fully researchable. Now, Fushun is a member of the 4-strong Shan class destroyers, which consisted of 4-number Ganevi class destroyers, which were purchased by Communist China in 1954 from the Soviet Union. Now, Fushun is the only member of those 4 ships which was actually scrapped in 1989, with the other 3 surviving to this day, 2 as museum ships and 1 as a static training ship. Now, this is a Tier 4 and 5 game of Domination New Dawn. On the enemy team we have another Fushun, T-61 in Han, Omaha in the division with a Pensacola, then we have a Grass Bay, a Fuso, a Bayern, and a New Mexico. We're on the right flank, and I've foolishly made a charge at the objective while my flank. I'm not quite sure what they're doing, but let's fingers crossed and hope they actually support us. I'm going to go for a slightly tail-in position and see where we go from there. Now, we do have a enemy Fushun, so we'll see if we can engage from here, because we're not exactly too concerned about torpedoes. So once we've done all right in this engagement, we'll see if we can one more volley might be able to do it. Of course, she's got those Ganevi turrets traits, which can lead to slightly awkward turret traverse. But we'll talk about the stats of the ship here now that things have quieted down a little bit. So let's see what we're looking at. So in comparison to the other Tech Tree Tier 5 destroyers, survivability, you have an average HP of 14,100. When it comes to your armour, you have the typical tin can armour scheme that you come with on a destroyer. Artillery wise, we have 4 number 5.1 inch guns, I should say. Now these are mounted with A turret, B turret super firing up front, and then we're also looking at Y turret with X turret super firing at the rear. Now these will offer you the second longest range of 11.1 kilometers, which is quite nice. It means you can reach out a little bit more than some other destroyers. Now they do give you a better than average reload of 5 seconds. And they also give you the slowest turret traverse speed of 30 seconds per 180 degrees of rotation, so bear that in mind when you're having to turn these guns or turn your ship in response to an enemy engagement, I guess you could say. Now, the shells wise, you're looking at having the 3rd highest HE shell damage of 1,900. You're also looking at having the joint 3rd lowest fire chance of 7% and the joint 3rd lowest AP shell damage of 2,500 per shell. And now the reason why your joint here is the destroyers are quite closely stacked together in regards to their shell qualities, and obviously you are based on a Ganevi class, so quite a lot of similarities based on that. Now, in combination with that reload, obviously you have an average HE DPM, 3rd lowest fires per minute, and an average AP DPM. It's worth noting that the Ganevi herself has recently received a buff where she had a reload decreased to 3.5 seconds, so although you're based on the same hull, I guess you could say, your reload is actually slower compared to what you're originally based on. In regards to torpedoes, you have 2 triple launchers mounted on the centre line, which means they can fire overside. Torpedo angle wise, it's pretty standard, probably not too good at the front. Maybe we could get a little bit more, but they seem to be alrightish, I guess you could say. Now, these triple launchers do offer you the fastest reload per launcher of 76 seconds. However, the reload per tube is actually not that amazing. It's 25 seconds obviously per tube. So generally your fast torpedo launcher reload is not really due to it being a consistently fast reload. It's just due to the low number of torpedoes per launcher. Now these torpedoes do have the 3rd lowest damage of 15,000 and an average range of 8 kilometers. They also are the 2nd slowest at 60 knots. Now I think I'll probably go hunting the DD, which is obviously the closest thing here. So we'll probably use our engine boost and closing on our RDF. Now, the torpedoes do have the best detection of 0.9 kilometers, which means based on their speed of 60 knots, this will give the enemy the least amount of time to respond to those torpedoes as they close in, giving an enemy ship about 5.7 seconds in order to respond to the incoming torpedoes. Now, when it comes to the manoeuvrability, your joint fast is at 38 knots, and you have an average turn circle of 610 meters, with an average rudder shift of 3.5 seconds. In regards to concealment, you're averaged by sea with a detection of 6.6 kilometers. Your detectability by air is 3.2 kilometers, and your detectability when firing in smoke is the typical 2.5 kilometers. I think we should be okay to engage the Manhattan here, but obviously just bear in mind we've got the army on our right and our guns training to our left eventually, so just going to have to try and work with that, but there he goes. And that's the end of the game, unfortunately. When it comes to the consumables, she has 2 engine boosts, which improve her engine speed by 8% for 120 seconds with a 180 second reload, increasing your base speed up to 41.04 knots. And you also get 4 smoke screens, which are like an intermediate star smoke screen. This has a 30-second duration and a 70-second dispersion. That's basically how long it's going to lay for and how long it's going to sit around for, and a 120-second reload. You get 4 number of those, although in that game I only managed to really use 1. So, second on the team. That was pretty much a bit of a cakewalk, and I was kind of expecting a bit more resistance in that game, but it is what it is, unfortunately. 38,000 damage, 2 kills, 30 hits on target, and only the 1 torpedo, along with a capture and 5 defender ribbons and 2 spotting. As always, down the description is going to be the commander build and module should you so desire. But in this case, I've taken aim resistance module 1 and propulsion module 2. And with my commander, I'm not necessarily focused around anything. I've tried to keep it kind of hybrid, but I think with the Fushun, because she's based on that Russian tech tree tier 5, and she has that very slow turret traverse speed, I would highly recommend Perceptive in order to make sure you got your guns facing the right direction, because otherwise if you end up in some engagements you might be engaged before you can actually engage. If you don't have Perceptive, at least with Perceptive you can start getting your guns trained in the right direction to engage that enemy ship when it does appear. At the end of the day, because you'll lack torpedoes, but being a destroyer, you're usually going to just engage in destroyers initially, and your torpedoes being deep water torpedoes obviously can't hit destroyers, but they can hit cruisers and battleships and aircraft carriers. So usually it's about being a bit gunny at the start, fend off those destroyers, and then use your torpedoes as the game develops, because the torpedoes generally aren't that bad. It's just a case of finding targets to use them against, I guess you could say. Well, I hope you did enjoy this review, and if you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Down in the description is the commander build and the modules, as I've always mentioned, and also the link to Patreon and the email address for the channel for sending any of your own game captures. If you aren't subscribed, feel free to subscribe. Let's say thank you to the subscribers and the patrons as well. Until next time, I'm the Galloping Major, and back to the port.
Hey, hey, clear the way, here comes the Galloping Major. Bumpity, 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 bump. Get out of the way there, you fellows, unless you want me to run you down.